3D glow-in-the-dark bat acrylic nail art tutorial by Hotpinkzebrapolish.
Hi everyone! In today's video I'm going to be showing you this cute little glowing bat that I made. He's got glow-in-the-dark powder that's on his eyes, on his wings, on his feet. I'm trying to think of all the places that he's got glow-in-the-dark powder. Sort of all over the place. I did all kinds of accents in glow-in-the-dark. I've never found glow-in-the-dark powder that I thought, or glow-in-the-dark anything that I thought really worked. I've tried polish, paint, powder, all sorts of stuff, and I've never really been successful with it. So I finally found this powder that I got off eBay that is working for me, and so I started using it on all sorts of stuff. I've kind of gone glow-in-the-dark crazy recently, so I had fun making this, and it looks so cool in the dark, and I hope you like it, and don't forget to click subscribe to my future videos as well.
So the first thing I'm going to do is create the background for my little owl, and I'm doing a very glittery green. It's essentially just glitter. So I took a bead of clear acrylic and then dunked it into this really pretty green olivey type glitter that I have, and just applied that to the nail as it is. And really quickly, I want to kind of amend what I said in the intro when I said I haven't found any glow-in-the-dark products. I did actually find this, and I reviewed this glow-in-the-dark stand I just got from Born Pretty store, and I can put a link to the review in the description box. That stuff glows even better than the powder. The consistency and the texture isn't good for everything, but it does glow in the dark very, very well. So I just want to amend that and point that one out to you too. And then you're going to want to add a layer of clear acrylic over the top of the green glitter to protect the glitter and give this nail some strength and some shape. And now I'm going to be filing it with a 180 grit file to perfect that shape we just gave it. And I'll just remove any bulk that happens to be there, shape up the edges, and then buff it with a 240 grit buffer to remove any scratches that the other file may have left behind. Apply a layer of gel sealer and cure it. Once you're done with all that, I'm going to be sculpting my bat. So I'm going to start with his head and body area, which is basically just one shape that's sort of like an upside down egg, which is kind of what I was thinking of. So his head is going to be the rounder part, and then it's going to come down to a subtle, not really point, but almost a point shape. It's kind of the same shape as the coffin shaped nail that I'm working on. It just sort of parallels everything. And I'm going to poke my brush in at the very tip and kind of create a little separation for his legs. And then on a post-it note, I'm going to be drawing out the shape of his wings. So I'm going to add 2 upside down V's and then add a stretched out W beneath it for each wing, which is pretty much how I always make wings. So the top of it's the V, and then you kind of do a really rounded, loose W for the bottom. And then I'm going to be putting a nail form backing on top of it, and then I can see through the nail form backing to my post-it note, and I can tell what I drew out, and I can make sure that I sculpt it on that, and it's exactly the size and shape that I want it to be, which is the best way to do these things. Or at least that I have found. Everyone has their own way, but this is mine. And then I'm going to use that same purple acrylic that I used for my bat's body, and I'm going to be making his wings. And when I made his body, at this point, I made it very thin. I am going to add another layer to it later on, so make sure you make it thinner than you want it to be in the end, so that you have the ability to make it thicker later on, so that when you attach these, you can blend them in and that there's not any weird lumps later. So just make 2 wings, and then also on the nail form backing, but I didn't need to draw this out, but I'm going to start with a really wide sort of rounded triangle, and I'm just going to pat that out into that shape, let that dry for just a second until it starts to turn matte. Oh, I'm also going to add some lighter purple in the center of it. I missed that part. Just highlight the middle of his ear. Like I said though, just let that dry for a second, and it's going to start to turn matte, and that's when you know that you're ready to start rolling it. And then I'm going to roll in 2 of the points of the triangle. So roll in the one side and then the other side, and I actually didn't wait quite long enough, so it didn't hold its form as much as I'd like it to. It worked a little better on this other one. With that first one, I was being slightly impatient, and I didn't wait for it to set to the right amount. As you do stuff, you're going to start being able to just instinctively know when it's time to pick things up and when it's time to roll things or fold things, when it's the acrylic. And it does depend on brand. The brand that I'm using to make these is not my normal one, and so that does change things up a little bit, which might have been part of my issue. I don't know. Sometimes I just don't do things the way I should. You know, things happen. Now I'm going to be attaching all those body parts we just made. So I'm going to start with his ears at the top, and I'm just going to put down some more of that purple acrylic and attach his ears. And his ears, you don't really need to hold them for too long. They kind of just stick and they're good. The wings, though, you do want to hold for a second, because the clear or the purple acrylic there does need to actually set before you let go, so they don't fall off or slide or move. And then I'm going to, like I said, add another layer of purple acrylic over the top, especially focusing on his head area, just to really blend in the joints between, or not really joints, but the areas between his ears where they attach to his body and where his wings attach to his body. Just make sure it looks nice and smooth and you can't really tell that everything was made on different parts and then assembled. I'm just going to take a smaller brush and really blend in the ear area because that seemed to stay a little funny. And then with the same purple that we used on the inside of his ear, so that lighter, more lilac-y shade, I'm going to be adding his snout. So I'm just going to add the bead down and then poke the center of my brush in it, kind of like a pig snout. Just form it into that shape. And then with glow-in-the-dark acrylic, I'm going to be adding his eyes. And for the glow-in-the-dark acrylic, what you can do is you can either take a bead of clear and dunk it into the glow-in-the-dark pigment, or you can mix some of the pigment into your acrylic, into white acrylic or clear acrylic, either one, or you can just have glow-in-the-dark acrylic. They sell that as well. You can get that places, but what I'm using is just a pigment, so it doesn't have any of the acrylic polymer in it. And then after you have that, I'm going to add just a layer of clear acrylic over the top. The glow-in-the-dark was not quite as smooth as I'd like my end result to be, so I just wanted to add some clear on top of it to make sure it had a nice rounded shape for his eyeballs. And then I'm going to be adding some more like a magenta glitter on his tummy, or a fuchsia colored glitter. So I took a bead of clear and dipped it into that colored glitter. Add that over, and now I'm going to be using white gel paint, and I'm going to be painting some details on my bat. So I'm going to start by adding the lines in his wings. So I'm going to outline first my V, and then I'm going to go through from the corner of the V down to each of the corners of the W. So that's going to give you that sort of veined bat shape, or winged shape. And then I'm going to be adding his fangs, 3 toes on each paw or foot. I don't know, you can probably call them either way. And then I'm going to be doing the other wing. And if you don't have white gel paint, you could also paint this with just white gel. The white gel paint, though, is going to make his lines a little more distinctive. If you did just like a clear gel and then you put the glow-in-the-dark over the top of it, it's not really going to show up as being lines as much. It's just going to kind of disappear, but you still will see it, though, once you turn out the lights. And don't cure this yet. Leave this still uncured. And then I'm going to be taking some of that glow-in-the-dark pigment and I'm going to just sort of pour it on over him. And just really layered on nice and thick. And then after I have that on, I'm just going to tap it off. I'm not going to brush it off or anything, just really gently tap it without touching any of the glow powder. And then after you cure it, you can take a brush and you can wipe off the excess and just really go at it. You can really wipe off a lot. And then taking a brush that's dipped into some isopropyl alcohol, you can sort of remove and erase the rest of the powder that might be hanging around on the nail in places where it doesn't need to be. And now I'm going to be taking some black and I'm going to be adding details. So I'm going to start with his eyes. I'm just going to add his pupils. And then I'm going to define his nostrils. And for whatever reason, I don't know what possessed me, but I decided I should outline his eyes. I consider this unnecessary and probably a mistake. I wish I hadn't outlined his eyes, but if you like it, go for it. Otherwise, I'd probably just forget that step. I'm also going to add just a little bit of outlines on his wings within the white or next to the white lines. Pretty much everywhere there's white, I add some black. It's going to really make him stand out. And then I'm going to be applying some gel sealer over my bat and curing him once again. And that's it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you like this design. Please share any recreations with me on Facebook and Instagram. I would really love to see them. And I will see you in my next video. Bye!